Hey everyone, this is Bridget, and today I'm going to talk about that time that my guardian angel saved my physical life. It's a really cool story, and there's a lot of learning tips in here as to the nature of our lives, our soul contracts, and angels. And so I'm going to weave in this greater understanding of these topics into my story. So sit back and relax, and I'm going to take you on a journey to when I was about 6 years old. And we were hiking with my family to this place called Elephant Rock, and we were with my aunt and some of my cousins. And we hiked all the time since I was really young, so hiking was a normal thing. We hiked up to Elephant Rock, this place on this normal trail, and it took quite a while. And there was no one on the trail, no one in the parking lot. I just remembered no one was around. And my dad and uncle, being highly outdoorsy, are like, well, let's just take this shortcut down the cliff face with the children so that we can get back, because this was a pretty long hike. Shortcuts are never a good idea, right? We know that. It's already sets the stage of the vibe, right? So we start cutting down trail, off trail, pretty steep grade, loose rocks and rubble, holding onto branches and trees as we're going down. The moms and dads are kind of holding on to the kids as we're going down. Not a safe or smart situation. I'm at the front of the pack and making my way down, and above is my aunt, and she knocks loose a boulder. Okay, let me set this up, because pay attention to this, because there's going to be a lot of different iterations of actually what happened based on different perspectives. So I'm maybe 50 to 100 feet away from my aunt. I'm the first to the bottom of the hill. I get to the bottom and I go and I sit on a rock. This is my memory. I go and sit on a rock, and this is very vividly clear too. Go sit on the rock. My aunt is above me. She's the next. And my dad is right behind her. She kicks loose a boulder. And this is a giant boulder, a really legitimate boulder. And it starts rolling down, and I'm sitting on the rock. And I'm sitting there, and what I remember is I'm sitting there and I just see this boulder coming towards me, and kind of my life is, I'm dead. I'm dead. There's no adults that can save me. We're out in the middle of nowhere. There's no one around. And this guy out of nowhere grabs me, picks me up, and sets me down. Now, I actually got the boulder hit my ear, and I actually got a cut on my ear. Sits me down. Now, the story from my dad's perspective. He's above watching the whole situation, and he cries a blood-curdling scream Bridget, get out of the way. But I was young, and my response time was low, and I didn't know what was happening. It was just happening. And he sees a guy come out of the bushes and push the boulder. Okay, this if any of you know any physics, this is impossible. This giant, really heavy boulder, there's no way that he could have timed that to actually midair push it out of the way and then save me, right? There's just it was impossible. And my dad's thought back on it millions of times, and he's it was impossible that could have happened, but that's what he saw. My aunt, the third witness, saw some version of that same thing, where he actually kicked it or pushed this boulder out of the way, which again is impossible. So by the time they got to the bottom of the hill, this guy was gone, and that was it. And my dad, when he saw me, he knew that I was dead. He knew, he saw that, and my aunt as well. So now we have multiple versions of what happened in this death situation. So in one reality, I died. Okay, done, gonzo, Bridget knocked out, head rolling, I don't know, something bad, right? Gone. And that was the reality that my dad perceived. We felt that happened, and I also felt that happened. Now, this is the moment where in these near-death experiences or these life-defying situations, we get the opportunity to continue and live or not. it's called a life review, right? And if you've heard of any other situations of this kind of thing, it's very common where the person will actually like maybe even die and go up and kind of like talk to source and be like, oh, nope, you need to go back down, or I'm not done yet, I need to go back in. And there's this, whether it's conscious, so some people remember it as a conscious experience of like, okay, no, I'm not done and I want to go back in, or the higher ups, whether it's your guides or your higher self, are like, no, they're not done, like this person's not done as a soul, go back in. And then the person is reinserted into the life situation, but on a certain timeline. So there's a lot of cutting and snipping and cutting, literally like a video clip. And in this cutting, things aren't perfectly clean. And that's why there's different scenarios of actually what happened. So it's kind of like in this few second moment, they had to do this thing. And it was like, okay, well, to Kirk, my dad, the guy pushed the boulder. Same to my aunt. But then to me, I remember getting physically picked up and set somewhere else. So we had two different versions because there were two different timelines, and the kind of higher ups in our soul, were trying to come up with a situation and a scenario that would be believable, and yet it wasn't. And so that's another part of the nature of these kinds of experiences, which is so beautiful and profound, is that it's unexplainable. And at that time, we had very like a scientific kind of perspective growing up. It wasn't necessarily a spiritual perspective. And all of us, by the time we got down, everyone got to the bottom of the hill, straight up was like, that was an angel. Like, that was your guardian angel. And he disappeared. He was gone. Like, if a normal guy like did that, he would be like, okay, are you okay? Wait for the dad to come down. Okay, is everything all right? You know, and like out of the bushes in the middle of nowhere, there was nothing that made sense around this. And so it was one of the first most impactful experiences, spiritual experiences, that I had and my dad had and everyone around, to be like, whoa, that was something different. Like, that was a miracle. And I know that was my guardian angel. And there's many other cases in which guardian angels can actually physically manifest into humans so that we can perceive it. But if we actually were able to scan back or probably regress ourselves, it wouldn't be a human form. But again, we put these kind of screen memories on these experiences to make it believable. Because if it was an actual angel, it would be that would be a whole nother level. But it was already enough to have it be that these things didn't make sense. And sometimes, of course, things can be seamlessly edited back together. You know, these are master creator editors, right? The angels or higher selves, this whole orchestration of this greater thing happening. There's many moments where it is undone and it doesn't quite make sense, so that you realize that it was a miracle and it was something special and it was something magical, so that it can be the impetus to then start you on your spiritual journey. Or as you wake up later, you go, yes, I do know that spirit exists, and I do know that miracles exist because I had this experience back then. And it was always what particularly my dad pointed to, because it was something that he couldn't compute with his mind. And so as we embarked into different areas of, you know, extraterrestrials and stuff like that, there was a place for it to land. So you may have had some kind of experience like this, you may not have, but just to understand the nature of it. And there's so many different situations I've had with clients, with friends over the years, where we talk about this, and it is actually quite common. I think we die a lot. Like, I know at least a few other situations where I truly know that I died. Again, same thing, like I almost got in an accident with a Ferrari in San Francisco that like came out of nowhere. And again, my boyfriend and I at the time were like, we definitely died. Like, there was this eeriness to it. But again, we were reinserted back into the game because we weren't quite finished. So it's quite amazing. And these different perceivable timelines of what did happen. There was a timeline where I died. There was a timeline where I lived. Well, obviously, there's a timeline where I lived and the guy pushed it out of the way. There's quite a few different possibilities, and it's like synchronizing with which one our soul needs and wants to experience. which is what we did in this case. We, in many ways, are given the opportunity to continue on or not. And so when someone does pass, I think it's important to know that they chose that. Like it's a very conscious thing on some level. And I feel like that is empowering in a way to the choices that people make, especially ones that are transitioning out like rapidly right now, is that they consciously made that choice. And then there's also the opportunities to come back in and to choose to continue living. This doesn't mean that you're like, oh, I'm fine. If I just like fall off that cliff, I can just say that I didn't fall off that cliff. It doesn't mean that. And that's why the more that you kind of are rebellious, the more angels come around you, because you have that nature that might need a little bit more support in that way. But there's only so much that you can do. And if you are working on facing death to that many times, eventually you're playing with it, you're playing with fire, and there's something that your soul maybe does want to go towards then. So it's something to definitely look at. But this opportunity to continue with life, I think, is really empowering, and to realize that this is like a game. It's kind of freaky in a way. And there's more to it than that, because it's definitely emotional as humans, and everything that comes with, and the relationships that we have with other people. But just knowing that we have the ability to be taken care of, and to also take care of ourselves, to make sure that we treat life preciously and make good decisions, I think is a part of what makes us want to stay in the game, and everything on the spiritual realm supporting us to do that. So I hope that you enjoyed this story. It's been quite impactful, and just to know that angels and support truly does exist and can physically manifest, like that is real. And so on this non-physical level, as we're tuning into that, to really give it validity, as I was talking about spirit guides a couple weeks ago, it's to really truly know and feel that you are supported, and to harness that non-physical spiritual energy into your everyday life, and make this life and make this game magical. All right, so thank you guys so much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, click the bell button so you're notified when I come out with new videos. Comment below if you've had any crazy life-defying experiences, any kind of miracle experiences, or you just feel the subtlety of it. Whatever, share your experiences below. I'm sure everyone else will want to read, because this subject gets really fascinating as we try and decipher this game matrix and how it works with spirit and the physical. So thank you guys so much, and I'll be back next week with another video.